Welcome to another edition of On Tap, presented by FCSI The Americas. I'm Wade Kaler, Executive Director. On Tap, in this week's episode, is a butter pecan, sci-fi loving member of FCSI from one of our larger firms in FCSI. Please welcome Mr. Ted Doyals from Ricca Design Studios. Hi, Ted.
Hey, Wade. How are you? Very nice to be here.
I'm doing good. Well, thank you for joining us today. I really appreciate it. This whole series of On Tap has been fun to do, and getting to know our consultants kind of on a personal level as well as professional. And to get that started, what I like to do is just kind of like an interview session, is kind of just tell me about yourself, how you got your start in food service consulting, what kind of specialties or segments you specialize in yourself working on, things of that nature.
Yeah, so actually been in the business since 1986. I started with a dealer fabricator back then in Dallas, and just worked my way up through the industry. So was able to work with a lot of great people in the industry who have kind of pulled me along and taught me about what we do. And my goal when I started in my adult life, I guess, was I was going to be an aerospace engineer, and that kind of went sideways on me. So turns out you have to know a lot of math to be an aerospace engineer. So anyway, started getting broke and needed a job, and just kind of fell into this industry and have fell in love with it, and really just stuck with it.
Nice.
Throughout 36 years.
Wow. Now. Congratulations. That's a great career that you just fell into. That's great. Are there any segments or specialties that you stay into, or do you kind of touch everything in the industry?
Yeah, so that's one of the great things about Ricca, right? Is we deal with so many different segments of the industry. So we really there are some of us that focus on particular area that is not mine. I am really I look at all the different segments. We do corrections, we do K through 12, higher ed, hospitality, you name it. If it has a food service component, we put our thumb in it.
Nice. So that being said, if you touch all of them, I have to know, what's your favorite project you've worked on?
I got to say that one of the most interesting projects I worked on is back in my previous life. I was able to work on a big university in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and and just because of the unique nature of the project, it was an all-female university, which was unique there, and just how the local culture and how you had to deal with the day students versus the on-campus students, and how we had to deal with service to get to this university. I mean, there was a lot of moving components to that was really very interesting.
Wow, that sounds like it. And and especially in that area of the world. I mean, again, you've got different cultures require different components, different types of equipment. Not just the same stuff that you do here in the U.S. all the time, too. So,
yeah, and one of the things that really made that project so unique is that we were not only dealing with the client out of Saudi Arabia, but we were dealing with architects out of the U.S. We were dealing with them out of Lebanon, out of Cairo, Egypt. So there was quite a bit of coordination between all of them. So that was one that really exposed me to a lot of different things. So that's what, for me at least, that's what made it so unique. We are at Ricca, we are working on a few projects right now that are comparable. They are one of them is U.S. based. It's really a big wide campus, and we're starting to see a lot of that from our side. But just projects in general, just having a lot of the moving components and the interaction between a lot of different players, whether it's multiple architectural firms with one large architect over the umbrella. There's, just so many of the different personalities, different design teams, all of that stuff, to me, is what really drives my design sense or my design juices, I guess. That's
Nice.
really what gets me jazzed up about a project.
Well, it's a great segue. Thank you for that. You didn't even realize you were going to do for me. And that is, what is your greatest influence in your professional life? I mean, what person or what method or whatever it might be, what's your greatest influence when it comes to working?
Throughout my career, I've actually had a number of people who have really kind of mentored me. Mm-hmm. And that has really kind of helped me with the way I deal with others in our industry. So, coming up into the business, when I started, I didn't even realize there were people that did this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just such a unique industry that you just don't realize it. And I was dealing with a lot of old school fabricators and KECs, and they all had a unique way of handling things, but the ones that really stood out at me are the ones that tended to be more teachers. Mm-hmm. And they would not only tell you to do something, but they would explain how it was done and kind of expose you to new things and really kind of push you. Mm-hmm. And that's really what helped me in my career. And hopefully that's what I'm doing with people who are just starting into the career is, I'm trying to teach them what we do and expose them to it. Just really the same way it was done for me.
Sure.
So
what would be one piece of advice you give somebody just starting out or thinking of becoming a food service consultant?
The ones that I've hired into the business, I have just explained to them that this is a unique market, that there are a limited number of us that do this. Right. And that once you get yourself into the industry, it's a little bit like being married to the mob. Once you get in, you just don't get out.
Exactly.
And once you get your name out there and people see you, you deal with the same people constantly, right? Like I said, it's a small industry. Once you get set, you really have a job for life.
Yeah, I agree. And it doesn't have to be a food service consultant. The hospitality industry as a whole, if you decide to switch gears completely, I mean, how many members of a restaurant owner has become a consultant, or a consultant has gone to work for a manufacturer, or a manufacturer's become a consultant? It's kind of a circular motion once you get into the industry.
Absolutely. There's just so many facets at it. And, one thing that's a little bit unique about Ricca is we also do laundries, right? Which is a little bit different, but it exposes you to a different segment. Yeah. But it helps you in the hospitality side, right? Now you're, as a consultant, we're looking from everything from the loading dock all the way to, there's a lot of different components to that. So when I say, for me, what energizes me about the industry is the planning, is being involved in how something actually functions, and I really enjoy that aspect of what we do.
So you've been doing this a number of years, obviously, as you said. Tell me, to put you on the spot a little bit here, what's been your greatest screw up in your career? What's the mistake that you made that you learned from, and so tell me about that mistake and what you learned from it.
Well, I can definitely say that one of the things that Tom Rick, our founder, would like to say is that we're in the communication business, right? We communicate with our clients, and we listen to them, and then we relay that, and we put it down in black and white and try to design their vision. One of my biggest hang-ups or hiccups, I guess, is not communicating correctly and not translating their vision through our plans, right? So I would like to say you only make that mistake once, but I can't say that. But trying to make sure that that you listen to their goals, their desires, and that you incorporate all of that. So I think that's probably my biggest mistake is not quite translating the client's desires sometimes.
Nice. Well, that's understandable.
Hopefully, we get that. I address that, and we don't make that mistake over and over. So
right. So if you weren't in the food service industry, you talked about aerospace engineering. What do you think you'd be doing if you weren't in this industry?
If I wasn't doing this, then I would have been doing that.
You would have. You would have gone that route.
Oh yeah. That was always my goal, and that was, I always had the dream or the desire to work for NASA.
Oh, nice.
Right, and to be a part of that. But in my older years now, and if I wasn't doing this, I got to be honest, I'd probably open me up a little wood shop and start doing some cabinetry and stuff like that. I'm pretty good with my hands, and
nice.
I've spent a lot of time restoring some historic homes that we have owned, and I would probably try to do that now that I'm a little bit older and
nice.
Further along.
Well, now you know what you're going to get to do in retirement. You get to build some furniture on the side or fix cabinets on the side.
That's right.
So one thing I've got to ask, moving towards the future a little bit, you've been involved obviously pretty heavily in the FCSI Revit task force for us to help look at and shape the standards of the future for that piece of software and for BIM design in general. Where do you see design evolving into the future?
I really start to see a lot more of the VR component, a lot. I really think that's where we're going, and also the interconnectivity between somebody like a Revit model and an AQ, let's say, right, and the transition and trying to build those in. We are also getting a lot of our clients, now everything is hosted on the web, right? It's a BIM 360 project. We don't even own the models. We're working on live models to where we move a case, it automatically moves in everybody else's model.
Right.
I really start to see, me personally, that the relationship between the food service consultant and the KEC and the construction team, all of that is going to start really melding together. On our side right now, we have a lot of MEP engineers that are actually connecting to our drawings, our models, and they're doing their work directly on top of our models, right? So it used to be that we would develop a model, they would develop a model, and then everybody would link together. I'm starting to see to where, they link our model in and they're doing their lines directly to our equipment. So
nice. Now, not to interrupt, but for people that maybe don't know out there, when you say MEP, can you define that for them?
Yeah, the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing engineers, right?
Yeah.
So they're the ones that are, when we have a gas pipe on a range, they're the ones that are getting the gas to the range. I'm showing them that their range is there and that we got a connection. Yeah. They're routing the lines. So nowadays, with the way the models are and the way clash detection works and all that stuff, actually physically drawing that pipe in the model is becoming a big deal.
Yeah.
And, I can see where manufacturers' families, that the content that we're using to create these is becoming much more important, right? Used to be, you could just have a square box.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that was okay, right? So when you're looking at it 2D, a plan view, you don't really care what the front looks like. But nowadays with programs like Enscape and Navisworks and stuff like that, I don't know how everybody else is doing it, but I know for us, we are sitting down in front of a client, right? I sit down in front of you, I bring my model up, and we are immediately walking through that model.
Right.
And
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. If you say, if you're the chef and you say, well, I don't want that a left-hand hinge door, I want it right-hand hinged, we immediately change it on the screen and we keep moving, right? Everything is speeding up. Everything is instantaneous. So no more can you take a manufacturer's family that looks like just a square box,
right,
because now it needs to look like a refrigerator.
Correct. And be able to adjust it on the fly, like you said.
Absolutely.
Nice.
All those options, materials, stuff like that are really starting to be a focus now.
Well said. Well said. I love that. It's exciting to see where it's going to go for sure. Honestly, that wraps up my questions that I've had. I like to end all these interviews with some kind of fun little lighthearted thing. So if you don't mind, I'd like to put you through our speed round.
All right.
So what I'm going to do is I'll just say a word or a phrase and just tell me the first thing that pops into your head. And we'll go through them and knock them all out together. What do you think of? What comes to your mind when I say the word scope creep?
VE meetings.
There you go. What about RFP?
RFP, request for price increase. I see that as a mistake from our side.
That's a great definition. That's the first one I've heard of that. I love that. What about holding spec?
Holding spec, that to me means I've got an uncomfortable conversation coming up with somebody. So
great. What about, and I think you just answered, but I'll answer it anyway, or ask it anyway. What about Revit? When I say Revit, what do you think of?
Revit, I think of opportunities. I think of innovation.
Favorite cocktail?
You're going to laugh, but it is amaretto sour.
Oh, I'm not going to laugh. I love sour stuff.
Oh, okay.
My guys behind the scenes here will even tell you that I had sour beer yesterday. So you're right up my alley right there, Ted.
I was going to say I'm not I don't mind a good whiskey and Coke or something like that, but I tend to lean towards more pina coladas and whiskey sours.
So then cook in or take out?
Probably cook in.
Okay.
Cook in.
Favorite curse word?
Oh, I don't know if I got a favorite.
All of them.
All of them. Yeah, pretty much all of them.
Perfect. What about your favorite junk food?
Oh, zingers.
Oh, that's a good one.
Zingers. Yeah. And I kind of like the raspberry ones, to be honest with you.
Oh,
so
all right.
You don't get a body like this without eating a lot of zingers.
Karaoke or lip sync?
I'm going to say karaoke. I'm not. I can carry a tune.
Okay. Favorite type of music?
Country.
Country. Texting or talking on the phone?
Talking on the phone by far.
A favorite holiday?
My favorite holiday, I guess, would be Christmas.
Double dipping when it comes to food, yes or no?
No, absolutely not. I'm out. I'm out if I see it. I'm done.
Cake or pie?
I'm a big, I'm going to say cake.
Okay. Toilet paper roll, over or under?
Oh, it's got to be over. You're just an anarchist if you go under.
And last but not least, FCSI.
FCSI is a well-run organization that helps keep us all on track.
Nice. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It means a lot to us, the staff and I that put that together, and then also the board and everybody else. We do our best, that's for sure. That's all I've got for you today. Is there anything you want to promote or any last words you've got for us, Ted, in the community?
No, not really. I would just say that I appreciate the opportunity, and I think you mentioned the Revit standards. Hope everybody is looking forward to seeing those. Think of Ricca if you need us.
Ted, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. It means a lot to me, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again here soon when we actually get back to doing regular meetings again. And thanks again for all that you've done for FCSI and the Revit standards. We really do appreciate all the volunteer work.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for having me.
That wraps up another edition of On Tap, presented by FCSI the Americas. If you enjoyed today's webcast, please help us spread the word. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. Check back next week when we're going to welcome another FCSI member into the fold. And until then, cheers.